Shakespeare got it wrong. To bait or not to bait? That's the real question. Today we're going to talk about baiting. Boy, isn't that a hot topic in the hunting world. It's incredible the different opinions you'll get from people as far as when it comes to baiting. You know, the way some people talk, they act like it's almost immoral. Like, if you bait for hunting deer, it's immoral. And yet, some of those same people will sit over a food plot or over a large crop field where they know the deer are going to come out and they'll shoot them then. Baiting is not immoral. There's nothing wrong with it morally. I don't know how somebody would even make that judgment call based on what, that it's immoral. But I think everything when it comes to baiting, it needs to be kept in context. I think context when it comes to hunting is so important, and so many people miss the context of certain things. For instance, I live in Michigan. If I hunt public property in Michigan, it's going to be very different than if I lived in Iowa and hunted public property in Iowa. There's a major difference, and context has to be taken in place when the guy in Iowa is shooting 130s and 140s and I'm shooting maybe 100s. You know, my trophy is just as special and maybe harder in some ways than even his because of the location and the context of where I'm getting my deer. Baiting, it's the same way. It's all about context. I hunted a couple years ago in southeastern Ohio at an outfitter, and we went up to this mountain in the middle of nowhere. You know, I'm hunting with an outfitter. I've got to see deer. It's crazy. You're not going to go hunt with an outfitter if you're not seeing deer. And you're out literally in the middle of nowhere. I thought I was going to die just to get up to the top of the mountain. It was that crazy, that steep. They baited. Because if they didn't, we weren't going to see any deer. As a result of that, I missed a probably mid-130s 10 point. And then 5 minutes later, another buck came in, and I was fortunate enough to get that one. But there, you're going to hunt for days and days and days and basically not see anything if you don't bait. You know, people baited here in Michigan, and at least when they could. They can't now, but, you know, people baited a ton. Well, part of that is a lot of these hunters are weekend warriors, and they don't have time to sit there for hours and days on end hoping a deer comes through a funnel or a bottleneck or, you know, up out of their bedding in a swamp to shoot them. They need deer to come in because they only have so much time. And so as a result of that, again, in the context of that, they bait. I have no issue with that at all. It's amazing. I've seen so many comments in different forums and stuff. I've been in negative comments about people that baiting as if it's not appropriate. There's nothing wrong with it. And let me tell you something, shooting a buck over bait is not as easy as people make it sound. I have baited in years past, and I've sat over bait, and bucks just don't come flocking in to eat over bait, not in daylight anyways, at night possibly. I'll tell you what's more important than even food is pressure. Now, if you're hunting a spot where you're baiting and there's no pressure, you'll probably get a shot at a great buck. But if you're hunting here in Michigan and public property and baiting, which again, you can't now and haven't the last couple years, but when it was legal, if you're hunting Michigan public property and baiting, there's still a very good chance you're not going to even see a nice buck because they're not stupid. And as a result of that, for me personally, I don't like to bait because I think that baiting actually, when it comes to hunting pressure, causes the bucks to be more skittish because of all the human interaction of having to bait the pile and you know, your spot. But here's the question. Like I said, I'm going to make this an alfalfa plot. Hopefully, I'm hoping it grows. But is that baiting? Is this baiting? I mean, am I baiting by hunting over an alfalfa plot? Well, to an extent I am, for sure. But people seem to have no problem with food plots or hunting over a cornfield. Again, everything has to be taken in context. And anytime somebody shoots a buck that is legal, whether it's over bait, whether it's in the mountains of West Virginia, it needs to be taken in the context of it, and it needs to be celebrated. You know, I'm not the hunting public. You know, Aaron and Zach and those guys are good hunters. They know how to get it done. But you notice they also hunt a lot in Iowa. That has to be taken into context. They came here to Michigan and they didn't get a buck. Welcome to our state. That's typical because, again, the context of where you hunt really determines how successful it is. So I think we need to be careful. You know, and this little video is not going to solve all the vitriol over, you know, baiting and not baiting. But I do think that there has to be a balance to that. Because again, if you bait in a highly pressured area, chances are it's not going to matter. You know, the main key is no pressure. You have to hunt somewhere where there's not a lot of pressure. If you bait, chances are you'll get a shot at a buck. But if there's lots of pressure, it doesn't matter. So for me, even on public property, I like to hunt their natural movements. You know, the swamps and the bedding and ridge tops and funnels and things like that, because those are deer's natural movements and they're more comfortable doing that in daylight versus knowing there's a bait pile there and that's where their food's at. But the last couple times they've come in there, they've smelled human scent around. They're probably going to wait till after dark. That's just my personal opinion, and other people have theirs, but I can't find anything morally wrong with baiting. And in the proper context of the weekend warrior or the Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan's another. You know, they bait in Saskatchewan. Why is that? Well, I don't know, because you have, you know, 100 square miles of land with, you know, 2 deer per square mile. And if they don't bait, they're going to sit there the entire season and not see a deer, especially if you're bow hunting. I mean, your chances are basically zero. So what do? They bait. It makes perfect sense. You know, so you can't just take baiting or not baiting in and of itself. You have to put context to whether you bait or whether you don't bait. And I'm saying you make that judgment call based on your situation. Sometimes that'll be bait, other times it'll be best not to bait. So hopefully that kind of just gives another perspective on the whole baiting, not baiting thing, and kind of makes you think, because I'm going to Ohio this year and Indiana. Ohio, you can bait private, but you can't bait public, and I'll probably be hunting on both. In Indiana, my understanding is, and I'll have to check it more, but you can't bait during the season, but you can put stuff down pre-season, but like 10 days before it has to be removed or something like that. So I'm hunting in 3 states that kind of have all different things. Michigan, you can't do any of it. I called the DNR the other day and said, hey, can you put something down at all in front of your camera? And the lady was like, oh no. I mean, she was so adamant about it. I thought for a second I was talking to Governor Whitmer, not the DNR. Anyway, I'm going to be in 3 different situations, and for me, I'm going to have to adapt to each situation. The private property in Ohio is very possible I'll probably bait or hunt over bait. There'll be spots on that very piece of property probably won't be baited, and there'll be spots on there that probably are baited, and I'll just have to kind of play it out and get the feel for each spot and see which one's better to hunt. But then in Michigan, I can't do it at all, and in Indiana during the season I can't do it, which is fine. I'll sit at the edge of the soybean field or sit my alfalfa food plot here in Michigan, and it'll be completely legal. The irony of that, right? But that's my thought process on the whole thing. Hopefully you find that useful for your situation wherever you're hunting. So now I'm gonna get back in my truck, drive out of here, and start glassing some surrounding fields of this property and see what there are for bucks. I am coming back. I don't typically put a camera up here in the summer because it normally seems like a waste of time, but there are some big beds in this grass that I'm going to get rid of. And I saw a nice track on a trail up in there. That's clearly a buck track. So maybe the way the food situation is, the crops are this year, it's a little different than in years past. So I'm wondering if maybe there's a buck that's using this more for bedding and going out to this field, which is never crops, but he's going out there to eat. So I might set up a camera on that trail that I saw, and who knows? Set up a wireless, and maybe I'll start getting some pictures of some buck. I probably won't set up. Well, I don't know. I like wireless because I'm impatient, but we'll see. It's just nice to be down here. Hopefully in a couple months I'll be shooting a giant buck out of here. Or one of my kids will. That'll be fine too.